Welcome back to Better Blogging. In last week's episode, I told you about the importance of staying excited as a blogger and how expanding your horizons is one really good strategy for doing that. Well, today, I'm going to talk to you about how you can track who's following you to those new horizons. And specifically, I'm talking about analytics. And whether you're a small business owner who is just trying to drive a small number of traffic, but in your local area, in a very specific area, or you're a blogger who's driving hundreds of thousands of visits a month and trying to maximize your CPM revenue, everybody needs to understand their traffic to be able to grow it. You need to understand where it's coming from, what keywords people are searching for, what area that they're visiting from, who's giving you referral links. So the one that I use is Google Analytics. And so for the rest of this week's episode, I'm going to show you via screencast how to install Google Analytics on a WordPress blog very easily, and then give you a very brief overview of Google Analytics, what you can find out from it, and how to read the data that it's presenting. So let's go to the screencast. All right, let's talk analytics. And the first step with analytics is going to be installing the script on every page of your site. A couple different ways to do that. First, in your theme, you can actually just copy paste it into the footer.php file. The only drawback to this is you have to remember that if you switch themes down the road, you need to reinstall the script on the new theme. And that's why for analytics, I actually like to use a plugin. And to install it, if you go to your install plugins section and search for Google Analytics, it'll bring up a whole bunch of different options. The one that I've always used is Google Analytics for WordPress, so it's the one that I'll recommend. So if you hit install, what this will allow you to do is just put the specific code in, and then the plugin will take care of putting on every page of your website. And that way, if you switch themes or do something like that, you're going to be taken care of, because the last thing you want to do is forget and then lose all that tracking of the traffic. So I've installed it, and you can see that when you install it, it tells you right off the bat that it's not active, because you do have to put in the code. So let's click on Settings. And once again, there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can click there to authenticate with Google, and if you're signed in with the Google account that is also your analytics account, that's fine. Just click there. I'll show you how to manually put it in. And so it's asking you for the UA code. Now, what's that? Well, the UA code is going to be this little number right here. Now, if you're going to be copy pasting it onto your footer.php file, then you want to copy this whole thing. If you're using the plugin, just find this code, and it's really easy. You can find it from the settings page, or if you're starting the Google Analytics account out new, it'll obviously show you right off the bat. Click back over here, copy paste. You're going to want to hit Update Google Analytics Settings, and you're good. Unless you're a more advanced user, I wouldn't use any of this stuff. Just let it put the code in, and you'll be fine and ready to go. Now, question is, what does this tell us? Well, let's look at the dashboard. We're using Midwest Sports Fans here as an example, just because I have it pulled up. And when you go to the dashboard, it defaults to the last 30 days. And it's going to show you the number of visits, the number of page views, just kind of the general overview information. It shows you your top 5 posts, gives you a brief little breakdown of your traffic sources. Let's say if you want to expand the timeline a little bit here, if you click on this down arrow, you can pull up a calendar. So you can look at, let's say you want to look at all traffic in 2010. Well, go click on your starting point, which is January, and then you can go back here and click on the 28th, and now it's going to show you all traffic since the beginning of the year, so over 2 million visits. Okay, let's say that you then want to compare that. So I want to know, well, how have I grown in this time period? If I hit compare to past, it will compare to the preceding number of days. So this is, almost 9 months worth of days. You can see it's going to go back to April 4th, 2009. Let's say I want to change these dates. I can. So I can actually go in here manually. Let's say I want to do from January 1st, 2009 through September 28th. So the exact, year-over-year traffic. Same data range from 2009 to 2010. I can hit apply. And now this is showing me a comparison. So that same time period last year, we drove 935,000 views. This year, 2,047,000. Obviously, there's a lot of growth there, so that's good. Okay. Now, a couple of the more granular pieces of data that I want to show you are, number one, traffic sources. So if you click on traffic sources, it'll bring up a traffic sources dashboard. It's going to show you the breakdown of where your traffic comes from direct visits, from search engines, from referrals. There's all different kinds of places where you can get traffic from. And right now, we still have this comparison on there. So let me take the comparison off real quick just to make it a little bit easier. So let's say we don't want to compare anymore. So now we're looking at since the beginning of January 1st. And you can see that 52% of the traffic is coming from referring sites. 38% is coming from search engines, and 8% is coming from direct traffic. So I can look at that and say, well, maybe I need to, to increase what I'm doing in search engines, because I want that to be a higher percentage. And you can kind of see. So Google, we used to get a lot of traffic from dig.com. That is actually, dried up some now that we don't use it as much. Then you can look at the different keywords that are coming in. And so I can see, okay, that article on sprained ankles, that has driven 15,000 views. So I can look at that and say, maybe I need more content that's about, from the doctors from Colorado that were writing those articles. People search on this stuff. I mean, look at 2 of the top 5 terms are from that sprained ankle article. And then 2 of the top 5 terms are also female names. So we know that people are searching for pictures of these women. Layla Kiffin and Elaine Spotswood, who was dating A-Rod. Put those posts up there. People are searching on them. So that's traffic sources. The other thing that's really important is you can drill down into your visitors and look at the map overlay. Okay, and the map overlay is going to show you where people are coming from. So it defaults to the country. So I can see that the United States obviously dominates, which makes sense because I focus on American sports. If I drill down even more, then I can look by state. I can see that Texas, California, New York, Texas are 1, 2, 3. But let's say that I'm hyper local. I want to see what visits are coming by city. I can actually click on the state and look by city where people are coming from. Okay, which is very, very useful. Obviously, if you have a local business, a visit from your local city is going to mean a lot more than a visit from 600 miles away. So you want to know if your traffic is effective. So again, this is just a very brief overview. We're going to be doing a webinar about this in a couple weeks. Look for the announcement on howtoblog.tv. But the most important thing is make sure that you get Google Analytics on there, get it to start tracking your traffic, and then go in there, explore, poke around, because there's tons and tons of useful information that can help make your website better. All right, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Better Blogging. Hopefully you learned a lot about Google Analytics, from the install process to the interpretation process, and we'll be back next week with another tip to make your blogging better.